this meeting order. We done had a roll call.
Give ourselves some time.
We've been through everything on the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm gonna go on to the guest speaker. However, we need to approve the agenda. I hear a motion that we approve the agenda.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Let's vote on it. Approve the agenda. Mr. Burris?
Aye.
Mr. Pope? Mr. Lucas?
Aye.
Mr. Barner? Chair votes aye. All right. Now, guest speaker. We have anybody here on the guest speaker? Okay. Would you come up and explain to us later?
Thank y'all for having me. I'm Jamie Story. I run the Story Landscapes and Spray business here in Waycross, Georgia. And recently the county elected to subcontract out the spraying and fertilization out there, trimming earth. I was handed or emailed a bid packet. I bid on the job. Bid was let. Went with another vendor that was approximately $11,000 higher than my bid, and I listed my references on there. I don't know why, but I think Mr. Burris at least calling references. He did call and check references, but as far as I know, not any other references were called and checked on. So I don't understand why we did that, and I don't understand why we went for a bid that was $11,000 higher than what I was when I'm feeling capable of doing the work, have the equipment to do the work, and wherewithal to do the work. On top of that, the bid that was led or was asked to bid on, that template was provided by the recipient, the higher recipient. And I don't know why the county didn't come up with their own template, why they used the template from that bidder. But those are my concerns. I live in the county, pay taxes in the county and in the city. But, I just think if we're gonna spend that kind of money, commissioners need to check not only my references, the references of who they elect to hire to do the work.
Well,
Being in it, I kind of really think, provided it's line out of bill, I think we ought to pay for the work that's been done and rebid the job. So, it's just, doesn't seem fair.
okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Story. I know that it was done that way, but anybody got anything on that? What can we do?
Well, let me just say this right here, Mr. Chairman, if I may. That, like I said, it was bid out, and you said the template was provided by the successful bidder?
That's right.
That's what it said.
Or they wanted to set up what the, I guess, qualification were and all that?
Well, the template was emailed to me from the county, but I've seen that template now. I've seen that table because I compete with this competitor, so I've seen this table used many times. I currently do the work with Brandon County where he was doing the work, and basically he used that template, that same template. Basically, he bid on that job, didn't show up to do half the work that was on that work.
And all.
Now I'm doing the work.
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, I checked the reference not only on yourself, but on the gentleman from, I think it was Meadow, Georgia.
Okay.
Which does, I think, the Board of Education. So I did check both of them, and again, like I said, I got good responses on both of them, and also you from Brantley County. I talked extensively with the guy over there that's over the rec department over there, and he just had high reviews for you, and say, matter of fact, you even showed them some things that they really need to do that help them out over there, and
I made the motion to accept the bid from the people who got it based on the amount of property that they maintained and the experience. That was my concern, that they do it all the time. They do the big tracks, and I know Jamie all my life does excellent work, but that was the reasoning behind my motion to accept the other company, because of their experience, long time experience. And I asked Jennifer where we stood on this, because I didn't realize that the form that was presented in in the bid package, came from another contractor, and I asked Jennifer to give an opinion on where we stood with that.
And if I can, because so I obviously was not here at the last meeting, I think, when this all happened, so we're kind of playing catch up from the backside, but I do want to start with just a little bit of preliminary. So of course, in Georgia, as far as the bidding process, if you're doing certain type of contracts, such as a road contract, Georgia law requires, all road contracts over $200,000 be bid. All public works contracts over $100,000 be bid. Outside of those requirements, the state law, that's kind of the minimum there. But they have some advertising requirements, but that's generally as far as the bidding. Now, then we get to our local policy. And so many counties' local policies do require either obtaining quotes or, sealed bids or something of that sort. Most of those policies, and I believe this would also include Ware County, allows for the determination of both, the lowest bidder from a responsible bid from a responsible bidder. So there's the analysis of the lowest bid, certainly. And if you're comparing apples to apples, such as a piece of equipment, then it's very easy to determine, what would that be. But also, and that's what you all are here for, is to talk to the references, look at the experience, all of those different type things. And so then that was ultimately up to your determination. And you all may, some may come down on that differently than others. Lastly, about the form, it's not illegal for us to use a form that would be provided by someone. If that's, that allows us to then try to compare apples to apples, right? So we can bid it to have each bidder then respond in the same fashion. That allows the easiest of comparison. Now I understand, from your point of view, why you would look at that and, that may have concern. But if you had a form of that sort and we had used, Mr. Story's form, I think that also would have been allowable. So I have less concern with that. So basically, I think the choice for the board is to determine, do you all believe the decision that was made at the meeting, last meeting or meeting before last, are you willing to stand by that decision now? Or do you believe that, the checking of references and the looking at experience and all those type things would require a change in the award? I want you all to recognize that it has been awarded now to someone else. So, there will be, or possibly could be an issue there if it's then changed because it has already been awarded.
My question is, this a line item bid, can we pay that recipient for the work done and hire me to finish the job?
To your point, I have not reviewed the bid documents. So, Scott may be best to talk about what actually was bid and then, what we awarded. Did we award is it a year of bidding or are we paying?
It's an annual bid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were to provide the work for a year and then we would rebid it?
Based on the criteria.
In other words, there ain't the law's been changed. Now you just take the highest bidder. It don't matter who, whether you're from town or not town. I'm kind of confused with this outfit.
Yeah.
That right there is wrong in my book. Is to take the highest bidder against two local people. Now that's wrong. If that ain't wrong, then I read the wrong Bible. That's all I know.
Well, also I think in the last meeting when we were talking about this bid, and I don't know if the county had this particular verbiage in their contracts, but with the city, we used to say the city could accept the lowest or the best bid. And sometimes the lowest is not always the best. But by the same token, the highest is not always the best either.
That's correct.
And so again, for the sake of sounding repetitious, this is why when it comes and the people provide references, I think they provide them so that, hey, you can check to find out, And it's unfortunate, like I said, it went down this way, but, we already, say the cow's already out the gate. But I think Commissioner Lucas made a good point the last time was that some of the spraying should have been done like in February, and it haven't been done. So is that amount deducted from that bid? Because you're not performing that service, and I don't know if you can go back and do it, because I guess some with these insecticides, stuff like that, you got to put them out at a certain time, and if you don't, then you kind of like pass that one, and then you can't really go back and do it, I don't know, maybe you can answer that better than I.
The problem I had with that table to start with was where there's no list of chemicals that were to be used on there. And and I guess you can say, well, I'm leaving it up to your professional opinion to choose the right one. But there's a big disparity in price on two may work a lot, but you can go with one that's $20 cheaper per jug, maybe $200 cheaper per gallon. There was no, on the rate of fertilizer, there was no specified rate on fertilizer. I mean, I'm going out at a pound and a half of nitrogen, 1,000 square foot. Who's to say he can go out at a fourth of a pound of nitrogen per square foot? I mean, he's gonna make a lot of money on that job. I wish that I got that bid for $31,000. I wish I bid $50,000 and had just put some references in California or something. Probably would have been better.
Well, my question is it legal for us to do that and jump over? We can jump over, get the high bid.
So, well, what I was trying to articulate, and this is true for most purchasing policies, is that even in the case of a sealed bid, when you're looking at the lowest bid, it should be the lowest bid from a responsible bidder. Or also another way to say it is the best bid. So, no, you should never jump over a lowest bidder to a high bidder unless you believe there is a reason to do so. That being more experience, that being, a better, better references, whatever that may be. Right. So ultimately it's up to the county commissioner's discretion on determining the best, the best bid or the lowest bid from a responsible bidder is another way to say it.
That's right. Okay, I see if the low man was too low and he was disqualified, shouldn't we have went to the second bidder?
If we believe that he's a qualified bidder, if we believe he's a responsible, the lowest bid from the responsible bidder. But again, that's up to your discretion as to what you believe that to be. Now, my understanding is the vote was 3-2, so I understand there may be some disagreement on that from the commission, but I understand that those three who voted aye in favor of awarding the bid to the third person believed that that person or company was the most responsible bidder or the best bid, even though it wasn't the lowest bid.
On the bid form, did it show how much per square foot, like you're doing your fertilizer, or did it just say fertilizing the field?
Fertilizer. Yes, sir. It was grouped in a chart form.
Well, shouldn't it have to say that? I'll be applying 100 pounds per acre fertilizers, 10, 10, 10, or whatever.
In hindsight, yeah, it probably should have.
Daniel, what do you think?
As far as quantities.
It gave an analysis of 24, 319 or similar. To start with, there is no similar. It's either 24, 319 or it isn't. There ain't no, well, it can be whatever out of 24, 319 we're going to use. No. It's either 24, 319 or it's not. It's either a half a pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square foot, or it's a pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square foot. One on up to that. It depends. That's a big disparity. Fertilizer is double this year.
Yes. Yes,
I can go out at a half a pound rate, he can go in a pound rate, he can go out at a half a pound rate, it could be cheaper. Or in his case, he could go out at a half a pound rate, where I was going at a pound rate, it's just profit margin for him. It just increases his margin. I don't know where he buys fertilizer.
But did the bid show half pound
No.
to the acre or anything like that?
Is that the reading you said him out?
Shouldn't it have said that?
I hand wrote in my bid packet 1 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet, which is 43 pounds an acre. 43.56 pounds, because that's 43,560 square feet an acre.
To answer your question, Commissioner, I mean, I think the answer to that has to be, the more specificity you have to allow you all to compare apples to apples is always better.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And you all would have had the opportunity to, if you felt none of the bidders were responsible bidders, you could completely reject the bids and re-advertise
Rebid.
also. Or you could change the qualifications. Oh, we didn't specify that, and rebid it. So, there were definitely some options there. But again, I think where we find ourselves now is that the bid has been awarded, and so now the determination is a little bit different than it would have been in just awarding simply, whether or not to award the bid.
So
What do we need to
So
do
what's the
then?
legal precedence now? I mean, what can we do now to, if,
Well, I guess the question is, and we all need to hear from you all is, last week it was 3-2, or last time it was 3-2 to award the contract to, what was their name?
Coastal Sports Turf.
Coastal. I mean, has the board's opinion changed on that?
Can we look back at that bid and see what his ratio was like on
he
a,
didn't put anything down?
didn't.
he didn't put nothing down?
No.
No, it didn't.
Couldn't that give us cause to rebid it?
I mean, you all have awarded the bid at this time.
Okay.
So, we can now ask him and see, what those terms are. We have not done the contract.
Right.
And if the terms of the contract are not agreeable, that then can give us a way to study on it. But the bid has been awarded at this point.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yeah.
So, and if I'm reading you correctly, at this point in time, it would cause more problems, I guess, to go and retract the contract back from the person than it would be to go and move forward with it. But then, hopefully, Lord, when the next year, we have a little bit more, as you say, specificity about what's gonna be done, this, that, and the other, and then if Mr. Story, whoever.
Unless they can't provide to us what they're gonna do per acre. Unless they're not willing to do that.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is that's something we should have
I think what
got.
my recommendation would be is that we, and this is all up for discussion tonight, but let's find out, what the bid actually is. Because we did award the bid, right? Now we're gonna do a contract, and then we need to know exactly what specifications will be used. If at that time there is not agreement on what will be used, then we can talk about what our options are.
Okay, I'm good with that.
I've got one question. Years ago, when I was here, if a motion was made and voted, a split vote, and the questions came up in the meantime, a vote that was on the prevailing side could bring the same subject on the next agenda for the next meeting and bring it up and revote. Is that still the case? Because you had to do it the first meeting and wait 6 or 8 months. Is that, or how, I mean,
I will say, I work in 5 different counties. I do not declare to have the ordinances in each county memorized. But I will be glad to check what your local ordinances
to make
are
sure
and see
whatever
if
we
there's
do is
any
legal?
restrictions on, in some counties, you will see restrictions on the amount of time until you can reconsider a vote. So we will check into that and see from that angle also.
And also, in the meantime, I would like for you to get a hold of the contractor and find out what ratio he putting out. Make sure it's at the par. I mean,
Now, Ms. Jennifer, lawyer, if it's not up to par, up to standards of what it should be, would that give us an out of that contract?
Well, we'll talk about that, but I think, ultimately it would be basically that you awarded the bid based on a mistake of fact. That it wasn't, we didn't award it based on what we believed it to be. But I'm not sure that'll be the case in this situation. We'll just have to do our homework, and then, once we get all that information, we have everything in front of us, then we'll help advise you all on that issue.
Once it's been awarded though, we can't change it, or can we? I mean,
Well,
we can't, he go back to find out where the analysis and all that's in it. I mean, that's too late now. We should have looked over that in the beginning.
we absolutely should have looked
what I'm
over it. That is true.
That's what I'm thinking.
But if it was awarded based on a mistake of fact, I think we can take a new eye toward it. But as I said from the very beginning, the bid has been awarded.
Right.
So, there's, at this point, it's certainly not an easy consideration. There are multiple things that must be considered, in addressing it.
Scott, didn't you say that he's already done some work out there?
Yes, yep.
Jamie,
He did it.
the word that he,
I won't check behind him because I'm a taxpayer.
no, what I'm saying, the work that he's already done, would that mount up to the difference between the two bids?
No.
Line item bid, he bid on the first pre-emergent, post-emergent, insect application, I think his bid was like $3,450.
Okay, in your bid, did you have the first spraying added in on your bid?
Yeah, but I haven't done it, obviously, I didn't get the bid.
So let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly, Mr. Chairman, if I may. You're saying that Coastal has already performed some work out there
Yes, sir. The first spraying.
for this
He did
bid
that
right
one.
here? I think I think we're gonna open up a can of worm that we
Yeah.
gonna regret. I mean, it's unfortunate, Mr. Story, and that you weren't granted the bid, but I think it's gonna cause a whole lot of problems. It's gonna really kind of I hate to say it, make this commission kind of look like we incompetent, because we awarded a bid, and now we want to go back and find out what are we gonna do when we really should have done that to start with,
Right.
I mean, I'm just calling it just like it is, and like I say, let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah.
Well, my recommendation for Mr. Story may be, this is a 1-year bid, correct?
Yes.
So you're a taxpayer here, you wanna get an accurate and fair bid next year let's work together to get the most detailed, package that we can send out. And so then we will next year be able to compare apples to apples.
Right.
And then that way the commission will, be very clear on what products being put down. You'll be very clear on references. You'll be very clear on experience. And then you'll have all the information needed to make, a decision you can be confident in.
And I recommend that the county be managed out there, that trim, and really keep an eye on what's going on. Make sure that they get what they pay for. Because in my past experience,
Okay.
dealing with this outfit, they not.
Are you willing to let us leave it like it is then?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, we'll leave it like it is then. Is that fine, Lori? Can we do that?
Certainly, but let's make sure that
Still check it.
well, for next year, we'll be sure that we've got a good, package to send out.
That's a nice facility out there, it needs a lot of work, a lot of rotten woods on the building. That for $11,000 would have been a lot nicer to be able to fix up this building. It's
Okay.
just a waste.
Jamie, all I can say is we apologize for the mishap and on the county, I apologize for it.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm glad you came, Mr. Story. I'm glad you showed up.
Okay, we'll go to the consent items. I want to approve the meeting minutes for March 2022, the work session, the public hearing, regular meeting, work session, and the call meeting. I hear a motion on that.
Make a motion to set the, approved minute meetings for the month of March.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. We got any discussion on it? Anybody got anything on it? If not, let's vote on them. Mr. Burst? Aye. Mr. Pope?
Aye.
Mr. Lucas?
Aye.
Mr. Barnard?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, on the agenda items now. The bid award for 2022 Safety Action Plan road striping. And Brandon discussed that, so we were just, is there anything on that? Do I hear a motion for that to be awarded?
I make a motion to set the bid for the 2022 Safety Action Plan road striping.
Okay, and award goes to, who is he?
Peak pavement. Pavement.
Yeah, let's see.
Peak pavement.
You gonna put that in there too, Steve?
Other people vote on
Let's
things.
see what item was that
A, it's under A.
on? A,
Yeah, it's right at the beginning.
peak pavement marking. Is that what you want to put in there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's approved to bid for peak pavement marking in amount of $201,938.46 for the 2021 pavement striping phase, Project 1.
Okay. Do we need to add those other roads, Brandon, or
We don't know what they are.
we do it later, or can we add to them?
We could do
Can
that
you
as a
put that in
change
there?
order,
Huh?
Chairman. We could do that as a change order.
Okay,
You know, award on this as
just to word it like Steve said, and
contract,
then,
contract amount, and we'll talk to them about adding some more roads to make sure we get to that required amount.
okay,
Yes, sir.
all right, that all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
all right, thank you, Brandon. All right, I got a motion, got a second?
I'll second that.
Second,
Keep paving.
okay. Any discussion on it?
Now, our cost on this, you said we're gonna be getting LMIG money for $200,000 of safety
Right.
grant.
Yes, sir.
So on the bid we got right here, the county only had to pay $1,938.46.
No,
We
sir,
have, we
got
have to
put
match it.
10%.
We gotta make it, to get all the 200, we gotta make it a $220,000 project.
See, we
Okay,
gotta go,
okay,
we gotta
we
pay
gotta add
20,000.
$20,000 more
Yes,
dollars
sir.
to the work,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Right. And we can find some more road to stripe, see?
Right.
I saw you, and I asked him, did we want to put it in the motion? But he said we'd do it with a change order. Okay, nothing else on it? Let's bid on, Mr. Burst,
Aye.
Mr. Pope,
Uh,
Mr. Lucas,
Aye.
Mr. Barner,
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
So the total money that county will have to pay is $25,000 for striping? $20,000 for striping?
20,000,
Okay.
yes, sir.
20.
That's a whole lot better than paying
10%.
$200,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we got that. Okay. All right, now we have a bid award for the R.C. Davis and Osborne Road Area Paving Project. That's under B. There's several roads on that thing. Short roads too. I'll read them all. There's Marsh Road, Osborne Road, Osborne Lane, R.C. Davis Road, Pine Lane, and Pleasant Acres Road. And the apparent low bidder was Littlefield. I hear a motion to,
Move to accept the bid from Littlefield Construction for the roads just named for the amount of $983,601.82.
I'll second that motion.
okay, I got a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion on it?
My discussion, I'd like to bring up a little something on this, not particularly naming out Littlefield, but just like the situation I'm running into on Rowell Road over there, for example. We award a bid to a company, and then we have the rain that we have, and the road gets messed up, and, you know, the constituents that live over there blow my phone up for me to go out there and want me to drive my car down the road, knowing my car can't make it down the road. They can't even get their RV down the road. And Littlefield's had that road for how many months now?
Which one is that?
Rowell,
Rowell Road,
Rowell
over
Road.
122. Littlefield's had it for how many months?
yeah,
And
it's been a few months, I do know. that.
several months they've had it. They've had it since I've been December. I know they've had it since December. And whenever we call for something to be done out there, you know, we can't touch it because it's under contract. Why? That's still a county road,
So,
you know?
Well, it's supposed to be, the contract's supposed to have it maintained where the traffic go down.
Yeah.
So it would be, Scott would have to ask Littlefield to,
Well,
They
that
need-
road,
they
that
need to
road
fix that
has
road
not
where you
been
get-
kept up.
Well, I was out there this afternoon, and Littlefield had a road grader on the road grading it,
yeah,
and
they worked on it.
Well, I know the last two times I've got with Mr. County Manager, and we've sent our county guys out there to grade it, because Littlefield didn't. Now, am I mistaken in that?
Yeah, I think they did go that
Yeah, they
afternoon.
got
It
over
was right
Littlefield.
after a
Littlefield
rain,
went out
but
there and done it.
usually when you get a rain, you have to let it dry out, and
Yeah.
you got to give it some time. But I understand from the resident standpoint where they're coming from. So you're kind of caught because you can't really grade it with it wet and sloppy like that.
Well, I mean, I went in January when I first got appointed, and then I went back again in March.
Yeah.
And then I got phone calls last week.
Yeah.
Of course, we can't do nothing about rain, but, you know, my concern is,
Luke, let me explain something to you, a little bit about roads, building roads. You got to break egg if you're gonna have eggnog, and if you build that road, you're gonna have a mud hole for a little while if it rains on it when you stir up that dirt. So they gonna probably do the best they can. Now, I'll have to take up for them a little bit on that. They gonna do the best they can, but it's gonna be rough until they get the road paved. And we're gonna all have to bear with the weather, you know. We're gonna have to live with some of it. I mean, and we all understand that part.
And also too, it's not a day job. I mean, it's
No.
gonna take time, because you're gonna have to pull your ditches, you're gonna have to pack your dirt, you're gonna have to
There's a lot to do.
put your, driveway pipes in. I mean, it's just a long process. You're probably looking at 9-month process,
Yeah.
road like that paved.
They gonna have to just lop through the mud for a little while till they get it, till the weather gets where they can do it, you know. That's all I can say about that.
And, you know,
well, I'm kind of going off the whole thing
Yeah.
we were talking about a while ago, you know, going with the lowest bidder, going with the highest bidder. You know, you gotta find a happy medium there somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't particularly like going with the highest bidder, and I particularly don't like going with the lowest bidder. But I don't understand. I put handcuffs on for a long time. I ain't never
Yeah,
paved roads and done all that kind of stuff, you know?
we can put our
I
handcuffs
mean,
on.
We're just trying to keep the handcuffs off of us.
You better keep them off me. You're in the wrong position now.
I was made aware of the complaints, and I spoke with Littlefield both times I was made aware of them. He came that day, that afternoon. There was somebody out of town that came by there and graded that road before they went home 2 Fridays in the road now. And like Mark said, they were out there again today. But, you know, when I was made aware of the problem, I called and they got right on out there and got it graded out. But
Yeah.
like you say, it's a lot of traffic, it's an ongoing thing, something like I've talked to them about. They're gonna try to be more mindful of that and try to get it graded along and not let it get as bad shape as it was when those complaints were made. But unfortunately, in weekends, on a Saturday, something like that, somebody has to come in, and they've been good on other projects about sending people in to pull people out whenever that was necessary. But I'll try to go by there and check on it and make sure that they keep it passable, because that is on the contractor to keep that road passable while it is under construction. That is, I mean, I know it's our project and our right of way, but it's his responsibility. So we don't want to go out there and
Mess up something.
tear a bunch of stuff up that they got in place.
Okay.
Just like, you know, it's his while it's under construction, he's responsible for that. And I'll try to do a better job of staying on top of that. If you're aware of anything, please give me a call and I'll get in touch with you.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, Littlefield will do what they say they're gonna do.
And
They do a good job.
I kind of like the analogy that the chairman referenced about, you know, in order to make we got to break a few eggs to make
Yeah, you got,
And you know, I used to tell people back when I was on the city and, you know, the street was getting ready to be paved and some of them, well, it's muddy, this. I said, well, it's just like when you're baking a cake. You got all kind of stuff, flour, you got all kind of stuff strewn about, but the finished product is a nice cake. So it takes a little time, and once you get that cake, you forget about all that mess.
Yep.
And you take right out on Albany Avenue. Now, it's some mess and all that there, but when it gets through and they resurface everything, you're going to appreciate that sewer and that water and all that stuff. So,
that's right.
you know, as much as we would like to have everything nice, sometimes it's going to be some inconvenience, you know. But I think like between Brandon and chairman, and because I don't want Commissioner Lucas to have to go out there and handcuff anybody. I really don't, you know, but he will do it.
Keep getting
I put on
handcuffed
many
yourself. All right, we had a motion and a second on it, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Okay, let's vote on it. Mr. Burris.
Aye.
Mr. Pope.
Aye.
Mr. Lucas.
Aye.
Mr. Barner.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right. The next one. All right, financial sponsorship for the 2022 4th of July fireworks celebration.
Mr. Chairman, I was able to find out earlier about, what they were. Yay. And the information I got back said the sponsorship levels that are in your packet are mainly for corporate partnerships, and they said they usually get anywhere between 2,000 to 2,500 in sponsorships. And so that difference, if you take that away from what they're saying is would be the $20,000 cost, you're looking at splitting about 18,000, and they're asking for a split 50-50, and they would publicize it as a county city event. So that's kind of how what was given back to me.
Okay, so if I understand it right, then the sponsorships money will show up and then we split what?
Split the difference. Then we'd split what's
whatever
left.
it costs.
Yes, sir.
After the
Yeah.
sponsorship.
Yeah, I was
Is that
just kind of
correct?
shocked that that would be the only amount they'd get from corporate sponsorships.
And like I say, we still, maybe like a couple of months away from it. They
Yeah.
finished there.
Yep. There's
And,
still a little while left, so.
Maybe they may have someone that come in and, be a big benefactor to it.
Scott, could you work with them and try to get corporate sponsors that we had lined up before?
Yes, sir. I sure can. Anything to help.
Do we have any of the Patriot sponsors or do we have any of those?
That I don't know. We haven't been given any information about who they get or anything, but it's just this. They just put this out not very long ago, so I'm not. He didn't say they had any at this point, but this was just sent out
This
just
is
a few
just
days
a-
ago. Yes, sir.
Outline of it, okay.
Chairman, I think, in the form of a motion that we, participate in this, like say, do 50%, but then like say Scott can work with our corporate, entities that we deal with. And, also, I think what Commissioner Pope alluded to earlier about the bouncy houses and things like that, I would hope that maybe we could do that, but can incorporate it at that stadium or, in that area also, in the future. And,
Is that, did you understand, I don't know if I do or not, but like you said, it could cost us up to $20,000 city. Okay, then we'd have to split that if we don't have any sponsors, is that correct?
yeah, but I think they normally get, they say between 2,500, 3, but they may get more.
Yeah.
But right now, the split would be just say like $9,000 if they got 3,000.
Yeah.
But even in that 9,000 that the county would be on the hook for, Scott could reach out to some of our corporate sponsor, to try to offset that cost. So it may end up where we really, don't have to pay the whole 9,000.
Okay. All right, how y'all want to make the motion on it? Anybody want to make?
Chairman, I was
I'd
like,
say we just table it. I'll make a motion to table it until we can.
Okay. And I've already started.
Huh, sir?
I mean, to me, the concept is good, and we should do something, and I think we
Absolutely.
will. But my vote, I'd rather see some details on exactly what's going to be.
Yeah.
Right, that's my point. That's the reason I say let's
as
hold
far as
off.
the amount,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think we should put ourselves on the hook for anything right now, because we don't know what's coming in or what they've
Yeah.
got and what our sponsors can give.
And I'll go ahead and start with the folks that I know and see what I can get raised on that side.
so you'll work with Patrick Simmons and
Yes, sir.
Whatever they come up short will
Yeah.
make the difference.
so, but we are, I guess I want for clarification that the county is willing to try to help to offset some of the
Offset the
cost,
cost.
but not to what amount, we don't know yet because we don't know what they get.
Right.
Okay,
so
Okay,
Kenny's gonna make a motion, and
Okay.
I agree with that.
okay.
Okay, how much time do they need? Is it got to be pretty quick? I mean, we may not.
That I can also find out, but I would imagine we probably have at least 30, 45 days before we would have to make a
Yeah.
decision.
Cause they usually have to contract
Cause
with
they
one of
got
those
the order.
fireworks company, and that's the biggest expense is the fireworks, I think.
Right.
Well, they've already got that under contract, so we've got time.
All right, we just wanna table it then?
I make a motion that we table it until we can get more information on the financial aspect of it. And I'd also like to bring up what Mr. Proke brought up earlier and possibly look at having it at the rec center in years to come. At our recreational center, because they can have bigger and more
Activities.
activities.
We can start those plans
After this
year.
one.
After this, get this one taken care of.
Right.
Yeah. Suit me.
So
Okay.
I guess maybe by that time we're gonna have a subway, a shuttle service out there.
Man,
going back
I'll
to
tell you
people
what,
got
in the
one.
city.
yeah.
We
I
got one.
still say it's gonna be a big
Got your
hurdle
camp service now.
for people that's in this incorporated area to get out there. A lot of times, a lot of people that come are really walking, neighborhood, people walking up to it, and so I think that's gonna be the biggest thing as far as being out there. I know it is more space, but it's been at the stadium for what? I don't know how many years. 25
Three or
years,
four,
3 or 4,
at least.
at least plus 25.
We need to make a change.
We got a motion there. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, we'll table it.
Okay.
Let's vote on it. Mr. Burson?
Aye.
Mr. Pope? Mr. Lucas? Mr. Barnard?
All right.
Chair votes aye. Okay. Now, this is D, appointment for the Law and Splash County Commission Committee.
And that's where I would nominate Mr. Jerry and Mr. Barnard to be our appointments for the lost and the splost to negotiate on our behalf. I'll make that motion.
Okay. We got a second on it?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion on it?
And Mr. Chairman, I guess for the discussion, my understanding is that these two individuals will be our representative on the loss and the sparse negotiating committee. But they basically be like the liaison between the city and this commission to bring back, and, we kind of say yay or nay over it, and, I feel like they're two senior members on this commission, so, I don't have a problem with them. Cause I know they're gonna do what's in the best interest of the city and the county. And, I don't have a problem with that.
No.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Let's vote on it. Mr. Burson?
Aye.
Mr. Pope? Mr. Lucas?
Aye.
Mr. Barnard?
All right.
Chair votes aye. Okay. That's all over there. Okay, county manager's report.
I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman.
Anything to report? Okay, the commission, got any comment?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say, on behalf of the event that we had at the airport a couple of weeks ago, it was a complete success. It was light pilots flying, and we had, I think it was 5 individuals that had their planes that came in, and they took the kids up on a ride. We had historians that was enlightening the people on about aviation, the Tuskegee Airmen, and all aspects of aviation. And I think Mr. John Ratcliffe, he was the one that organized this, and he's retired from Ford Motor Company, their chief pilot and the training officer. And he was wonderful to work with. Just people at the airport, Steve, everyone that participated, Jesse Jordan, D. Meadows, and Yolanda Adams, Clarence Washington, myself. And it was really attended very well, and even with the Swamp Fest happening that same day. And a lot of people that came out, that had a diverse group out there. And so they really enjoyed it, and they're looking forward to trying to make this an annual event. And probably one of the things that we won't have it, maybe try to have it on the same day as Swamp Fest. Maybe try to have it whenever he planned it 3 or 4 months out, he didn't realize that Swamp Fest was happening at that time. So I just want to say kudos to them and to the historians, Mr. Ratcliffe, not Ratcliffe, C.B. Rice, and Alan Taylor. They were the historians. They came all the way from Texas, drove down. So it was a great event.
Good.
Thank
I
you.
heard, Director Jordan say that it was very well attended, very well received, and y'all, the committee, y'all had hoped to make it annual affair,
Right.
which would be good.
Yeah.
And maybe the county could participate more, but we didn't know a whole lot about
Well, like I said, this was the first time,
Right.
and
it. So,
it was very well attended. Like I said, it was a diverse group of people out there, young, old, black and white, and it was very nice. And one of the things that sparked Mr. Ratcliffe to even try to have something like this was he would fly in there sometime on his plane, and he had his church dedication out there, and he just had rave reviews for this airport, the type of facility it is, and this is how he got people from Tennessee and I believe it was Daytona to come bring their planes in here to fly the kids around, and it's unfortunate, but a lot of people that stay right here in this county don't even know what airports out there. Never been out there, and so I think it was great. It was very positive.
I'm gonna ask Steve if he would to explain the National Week of that. He knows probably more about it than I do, but celebrate, if you would.
Scott, would you like to read this?
Do we need to read it all, or just let him, just read the
Yeah,
headline
just-
and what we,
Ware County 911. I know.
Is it?
yeah, we got it on our,
Get my glasses on. Okay, we got I wouldn't say it's a proclamation or anything. It's Ware County 911 celebrate National Public Safety Telecommunication Week. Ware County 911 honors the men and women who serve as public safety communication officers during the National Public Safety Telecommunication Week of April 10th through the 16th of 2022. Introduced to Congress by the Association of Public Safety Communication Officers International in 1991, National Telecommunication Week is the second full week of April of each year, recognizing and honoring is due to the public safety telecommunication who aids and provide 911 emergency assistance to citizens everywhere. Across the nation in times of intense personal crisis and community disasters, the first access point for those seeking all classes of emergency services and homeland security information is 911. The local county public safety communication center that receives these calls has emerged as the first and single point of contact. 911 is there for the person seeking immediate relief during an emergency, as well as those seeking to report suspicious behavior, unusual incidents, and responding to now common pleas for citizens' vigilance and attention in the wake of homeland security concerns nationwide. Every day, millions of people depend on the skills and expertise of commitments of men and women who work in public safety telecommunications. These individuals help save countless lives by responding to 911 calls, dispatching emergency professionals and equipment, and providing moral support to citizens in distress. The term 911 is often associated with the rapid emergency response, posed under pressure, aid, compassion in times of distress and critical decision-making within seconds. Many people do not stop and think about the seamless, nameless, faceless individuals until they experience an actual emergency themselves. These professionals make the difference between life and death. In many instances, they are truly a first responder. By officially recognizing these public safety telecommunication professionals, Ware County Public Safety Communication Center hopes to awaken public awareness and promote much needed education regarding important public safety issues. Many businesses and local offices closed their doors or offered limited hours of service during the COVID pandemic. However, 911 operators were actively working while the sick themselves. Many left their sick loved ones at home. They preserved in order to serve the citizens of Ware County and Waycross a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week. This is a true definition of dedication. Therefore, the importance of recognizing and celebrating the hard work of these dedicated professionals at every level is immeasurable. This week, we honor our hometown everyday heroes. Please take a moment and let the operators know that you appreciate their dedication and service to the community.
Thank you, Steve.
Very good.
Good deal.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. Yep. If I may, I'll be remiss if I didn't mention Scott and how he worked with us on that event at the airport.
Right.
And, Michael Brooks, and, pray that he continues to heal well from his surgery and all. And, also, with the airplane that come in, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they spent roughly $600 for fuel that we purchased at the airport out there for those planes. So it wasn't any cost to the county, and as a matter of fact, they had the fuel, because they had to go back to Tennessee and all. So it was just a win-win.
That's good.
I got one thing I need to say.
Yeah.
Scott, did we ever determine the air conditioning stuff at the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir. I got a call today from the company that is building the unit that's going to the courthouse, and that was one of the things I was going to mention. And they're coming to do a quick assessment because, and I'll get to that, but this one here at the courthouse was to be a 30-ton. And because of how it was going to have to be installed, there was going to have to be a lot of changes, structural changes made to be able to install that unit. And they're coming to look to see if they can, if a 25-ton will work, and see and program it to make it do what they do. So they have one of their engineers coming in to look at the courthouse to see if they can, and if they can get if the 25 will work. 25-ton will work, then there'll be a whole lot less configuration changes that they'll have to make. And he also mentioned about the jail and the sheriff complex, and he said that with that bid there, it could all be done as that co-op, that cooperative purchasing co-op, which is where this one for the courthouse is being purchased. And I asked him to look at that too and give us a proposal through that co-op. And that's how we did the other one that we installed before and the one that we have planned now.
Yeah, I talked with the sheriff last week about them units out there. He says at this time they're all working, but they're 20 years old. And he had talked to Conley's about going ahead and purchasing more units, just hold them at their warehouse until one goes out. Then they'll have one to replace it, because the air conditioning system goes out now, it might be 3 or 4 months before you can get one.
At the
And he'd
earliest.
have them already in his warehouse, just pull them out, put them in.
That was really the intent, was to go ahead and purchase them. But not only that, the prices are supposed to go up at the end of this year is what we were told. And also too, that we would have it in-house, ready to go if one of them goes out, so they could put it in a day or so, rather than having to wait months later to be able to get one in. That was the reason why.
Okay.
But I should have a proposal from this other group that's pricing this one here, and should have it by the next meeting.
Okay.
So, you're talking about the air conditioning at the jailhouse, so is it better to try to, I guess, be proactive and put them in before they go out, or do we wait till they go out? One goes out, then put it in, or?
I'd run them till
If
they
it
die.
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, and only that, you're getting the most out of it,
Right.
and that way, you're not, replacing something that doesn't really have to be replaced. But
Okay.
and I would imagine probably shortly, it won't be long before they will start going out.
Can't have nobody getting too hot out there.
Any more? Scott, if we're gonna try to put that on the agenda next week for the stickers on the mobile home.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll work on that.
We're gonna
Yes,
have,
sir.
try to have something on that. Okay. Anything else?
The Wing Clay Tanner Road project, Has the letters been mailed out to the property owners?
They should go out this week. We got the title abstracts back and everything checked out on that, so those should be going out this week. Yes, sir.
Getting closer and closer.
Very close. Yeah, this whole preliminary process of getting to this point's really what takes the most time.
Right.
And once you let the contract, the construction goes pretty quick.
Yeah, okay. Any more?
Yeah, one other thing, Mr. Chairman, the pool, what about the pool on Bailey Street?
I think Commissioner Pope I don't know if Brandon went with him to look at it. Were y'all able to determine whether it would be good to go the way it is?
The management, YMCA management recommends that everything is fine right now.
Okay.
No hold up.
They usually open it up right after school is out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the end of May, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they do it. It's Memorial Day weekend or something like that.
Is the YMCA still running that pool?
Yes,
for
sir.
the county?
They're managing it.
Managing the operations of it. Yes, sir.
Any more? Is there a transportation meeting this week?
I can't
Brandon,
remember.
is there a transportation meeting?
Was there a TPC this week? I can't remember.
Sorry, what was
A TPC meeting, TPCC meeting.
The next one's going to be scheduled for May. We're trying to keep them on a 2-month cycle.
May,
And last month we couldn't send them out because of the email issues.
okay. All right, good. All right, any more? Is that all? I hear a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor? Meeting adjourned.